The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
Of the mall when she looks like
The Snow White version is woke and feminist and progressive.
Pissing off new Disney fans, pissing off Trump supporters, pissing off all of America.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash. Like so many kids raised on TikTok.
nobody
Who
wants
wants
that.
a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? The outrage.
Part of some kind of backlash.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Of course, like with everything on the left.
Who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
It just doesn't make any sense.
It makes a little bit more sense.
You can gaslight people so easily.
But it was comment after comment, and it was pissing off everybody.
Rachel Zegler was once the face of Disney's next generation, hand-picked, highly praised, and cast as Snow White, one of the most iconic characters in animation history. But now, she's being called box office poison. Her film is crashing hard, and rumors are swirling that Disney wants her gone. In this video, we're breaking down the full collapse, from her viral interviews and political rants to the chaos inside Disney, and what could be the final nail in the coffin for this disastrous remake. Could Rachel Zegler actually be fired? Is her career over before it really began? Let's break it down, piece by piece. It started quietly. A few tweets, some Reddit posts, insider whispers that Disney is reevaluating Zegler's future with the company. Then came the headlines: Rachel Zegler fired, Zegler cut from press tour, Disney panics after test screenings. But is there truth behind the smoke? Well, multiple sources online claim Zegler was pulled from key promotional events. She reportedly lost input in the final cut and reshoots, and she might not even appear at the movie's red carpet premiere. Some speculate she's been blacklisted. Not officially, but quietly. Which, in Hollywood, is how most careers die. But why? Because this wasn't just a bad movie. This was a PR disaster in slow motion. Zegler didn't promote her movie. She lit it on fire, one interview at a time. Instead of honoring the legacy of Snow White, she mocked the original. She called it weird and creepy. Claimed the 1937 classic was about a girl being stalked by a prince. She openly said her version of Snow White doesn't dream of love or care about romance. For many fans, and that wasn't just disappointing, it was insulting. But it didn't stop there. Zegler said she should be paid for every hour she had to wear the dress. She shaded her male co-star, suggesting his scenes could be cut, and then told Disney fans to get over it. The internet responded instantly. Clips of her interviews went viral, and not in a good way. They became memes, punchlines, and commentary gold for both the left and right. The verdict was clear. Disney's biggest new star had become its biggest liability. Then came the politics. Old tweets resurfaced, Zegler calling Trump voters vile, tweeting "F*** Trump," and saying she hoped they never know peace. Even people who don't support Trump were shocked, because these weren't just political opinions, they were blatantly hostile. And when you're the face of a family film, insulting half the country is not a great strategy. Joe Rogan called it out. Bill Maher called her a whiny brat, and conservative media obliterated the movie. At that point, it wasn't about Snow White anymore. It was about Disney losing control of their narrative, and about one actress becoming the target of an internet firestorm. Disney tried to reel her in, tried to manage the PR, tried to cool things down. But it was too late. The damage was done. Behind the scenes, Disney was in panic mode. Executives were scrambling. Marketing teams were re-editing trailers, cutting down Zegler's screen time in promos, and even canceling appearances she was scheduled to do. One insider reportedly said, "We can't have her talking anymore." Every interview makes it worse. Disney delayed the movie by almost a full year. They tried to shift focus to Gal Gadot, the evil queen. They emphasized female empowerment in vague terms, but avoided Zegler altogether. At one point, Disney even reshoots entire scenes, hoping to save the tone of the film. But it didn't help. The public had already decided Snow White was cursed. When Snow White, 2025, finally hit theaters, it didn't just flop. It collapsed. The budget? Over $200 million. Opening weekend? Just $43 million. That's not a flop. That's a faceplant off a cliff. In China, the film made less than $1 million. In the US, theaters were half empty, reviews were brutal, joyless, soulless, a tone-deaf retelling nobody asked for. Even kids didn't care. Merchandise like Snow White dolls and wands gathered dust on shelves. Meanwhile, TikTok exploded with memes, mockery, and parodies that got more engagement than Disney's actual trailer. Zegler became the face of a Disney disaster. Suddenly, casting Rachel Zegler looked like a massive mistake. Not because of her race, not because of her talent, but because of her attitude. She wasn't just acting like a Hollywood star, she was acting like the story didn't matter, like the audience didn't matter, and that message killed the magic. Fans weren't just mad, they were disappointed. Critics described the movie as lecturing its audience instead of entertaining them. One top comment read, "I came for Disney magic. I got a political seminar." So, is Rachel Zegler fired? Officially, no, but unofficially? Studios are watching closely. Hollywood doesn't need more controversy, and Zegler, regardless of her talent, has now become a risk. Some reports say she's already lost negotiations for future roles. Others say PR teams are avoiding projects where she's the lead. She's a walking headline, and not in a good way. One agent reportedly said, "Whether fair or not, Rachel Zegler's name is now tied to one of the worst PR collapses Disney has ever seen." Twitter X hasn't let this go. Tweets like, "She's done. Nobody wants her anymore. Worst casting in Disney history." Meme pages are flooded with woke white jokes. Fan edits even replaced her with AI versions of classic Snow White. And the sentiment is consistent. She disrespected the story, she disrespected the fans, and now the fans are done. So, was Rachel Zegler really fired? No press release, no dramatic announcement. But let's be honest, in Hollywood, when the phone stops ringing, you're already out. Disney gambled big on a modern Snow White. But between the forced messaging, the recast characters, and Zegler's combative press tour, they didn't just fail. They burned the entire castle down. This wasn't just a flop, it was a warning. When you forget what made a story timeless, when you insult your audience instead of inspiring them, you don't get a happy ending. What do you think? Should Rachel Zegler be held responsible? Was this a casting mistake or a script problem? Can she ever bounce back? Let me know in the comments below. Smash that like button. Subscribe for more breakdowns, scandals, and everything that happens behind the light stick. Because where there's light, there's always a little tea behind it.